You are listening to the Joe on Joe podcast, the only podcast where Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hi, and welcome back to Joe on Joe. I'm your host, Joe Slepsky. And with me this week is a super talent, a megastar, an editor-at-large of TV, film, whatever live-action movies you need edited. This one can do it. Her name is Stephanie Goldstein. Give it up for Stephanie Goldstein, everybody.
Woo! Should I clap for myself? I don't know.
I think it's self-serving, but that's okay. It's like when Spock didn't want to say "live long and prosper" to himself, and that's in the new verse Star Trek movie.
Okay.
We're coming to you live from the heart of West Hollywood. And Stephanie Goldstein is an editor out here. She is a friend of mine from Golden Apple Comics and from Life. Stephanie, welcome to Joe on Joe.
Thank you. This is going to be so exciting.
You are currently working on a show called Pure Genius.
That is correct.
On CBS.
CBS.
It's going to be Thursday night. Starts October 27th.
Yes.
10 p.m. And that's like 10 p.m. Pacific time? So it was like 10 Eastern.
I think it switches because you got 10 Eastern and then it's also 10 Pacific.
So tell me a little bit about Pure Genius. So who's the star of the show?
Star is Dermot Mulroney.
Awesome.
He's been on a lot of stuff, a lot of movies, TV.
Well, what's the joke? Dermot Mulroney or Dylan McDermott?
Yes, it is Dylan. Not Dylan McDermott.
It's Dermot.
Yeah, I almost said the wrong one. I have his picture hanging in my room along with the other actors on the show, and I always have to do a little double check, even though I know that it's Dermot Mulroney.
I've always wondered about, like, do people on shows like pop into the production offices and say hi at all? Like, or are you guys completely separated from them?
On this show, we're completely separate because we're actually down towards Santa Monica, and they shoot at Universal. So okay. I doubt they'll do a pop in, but on the last show I was on, The Catch, we were right next to the stages, so they would, and costume department is actually right next to us, so they would come by.
Oh, cool!
On a daily basis and just say hello when they walked by.
And you've worked on some neat shows in the past. I think you worked a little bit on Gotham.
I did, season 1.
Awesome.
Season 1 of Gotham, not the current, not the current run of Gotham.
That's so insane. That show is so crazy. What other shows have you worked on in your resume?
I worked on the show called Forever that lasted 1 season.
So the title was a little misleading.
Now that the show's gone, everyone thinks that the title was the most ridiculous title ever because it did not last forever. It did not even last more than 1 season. So I did that one. I was on the show called Outsiders. This past
wasn't
year.
that a biker show, right? Wasn't it?
Kind of a biker show. It was. They were calling it Sons of Anarchy in the Mountains.
Okay.
Like a redneck Sons of Anarchy. Basically, it was just a family that lived up in the mountains in Kentucky that were
getting ready to vote for Trump.
Yeah, I think they probably are. Season 2, I don't know. I'm not on season 2, but I think that's probably what the whole arc is for the season of the election.
Now, how did you get into editing? Like, is this something you studied in college or something you found on your own and then became a master at it, or what? What's your story?
Well, I don't know if you ever become a master at it, but I'm definitely getting better. When I was about 8, I knew I wanted to do something in film. I just didn't know what, and I grew up in North Carolina, and there wasn't a whole lot of stuff going on there at the time. There is a lot more now. I went to regular college, just liberal arts school, majored in psychology. No big deal. Then I went to law school, so that's about as far as you can get.
You did go to law school.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Did you graduate?
I did, and I passed the bar in North Carolina. So.
What? You're a lawyer?
Yeah. Well, technically, I'm not.
Or you could be, or
I could be. I would have to. I don't know what I'd have to do at this point to get my license back because I let it lapse.
Oh, huh.
So I don't know if I don't think I'd have to retake the bar. I'm not even sure what I would have to do, but I am licensed in North Carolina.
I never knew this about you. Did you ever practice law, or did you?
I did. I actually worked for R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company.
Get out.
For about 2
Cancer
years.
dealer.
Yep.
Cancer dealer.
I worked in this like offshoot warehouse that used to be a cigarette factory that I'm sure had asbestos like all in the ceilings and the walls. I'm sure I would go.
Well, the asbestos is probably the healthiest part about that.
Oh, I'm sure. I was taking a walk one day and I was there. Well, there's one part of the building called the cage where there's actually people that worked in there, but they call it the cage because it was actually like a caged in area.
Okay.
And then I just walked past the cage and I was just taking a little walk around the building and I got stopped. Like people came toward me and they're like, "You can't go this way. Turn around." And it was like the cigarette
Really?
Cigarette police, yeah.
Really?
So I don't know what they were doing in that building, but I'm sure it was not it was not good.
Oh, that's
But I was
crazy.
working for a local firm in North Carolina that was the attorney for R.J. Reynolds for their big Department of Justice case that had been ongoing for about 15 years.
Uh-huh.
So my job is basically just going through documents and stuff like that. So technically, I guess I practiced law, but I didn't work at I didn't go to court or anything like that. I just worked in a building with a bunch of other people that went to law school that were highlighting people's personal information.
How many years
documents.
did that last for you?
It was about 2, I think. And then
Yeah.
one day I was driving to work and I said, if I don't quit my job today, I'm going to drive off this bridge. And so I went in and I quit my job.
That's those are the best days in life. Those are
Yeah.
the best, absolute best days in life.
Yeah, yeah. And then I actually got a job at Barnes & Noble, so it went like the opposite way.
Okay.
And there was actually some really creative people there, like artists and writers and musicians. And
Bookstores tend to attract those people.
yeah, and it was kind of the only one in town. So like the only bookstore of that type in where I grew up. And so that kind of got me motivated again. And my mom took me to lunch one day and just said, if you could do anything right now, what would you do? And I said, I would want to work on Scrubs because that was that show was my jam.
Really? Scrubs?
Yeah.
Of all shows?
Yeah. And so she's like, well, let's figure this out. And so she took me on a trip to California, and I was looking at different film schools around, and I came here, and actually about a mile from here we had pizza, and she's like, do you think you'd want to live here? And I said, yeah. And so it was about 11 years ago I moved here and went to LA Film School. And
You did?
yeah.
Wow.
So it was a 1-year program. That was kind of because I already graduated from school, so I didn't want to do another 4 years. Like a lot of the, like USC and all that is like 4 more years.
Yeah.
I just wanted to do it. I just wanted to get in.
Yeah, schools like LA Film School, and they're just focused on getting you in the workplace.
It's basically it's like basically a community, like a tech school. I mean, that would be what it would be like going to a community college almost, but they had working professional teachers, and it's kind of place where you get out of it what you put in. And I just kind of went all in. I went to school with a lot of 18 to 20-year-olds that, were kind of unmotivated, and they're like, this place is the worst, because they kind of just wanted to be directors and they were expected to have a job.
Because they hadn't gone out in the real world
Right.
and seen what the worst really is. Yeah.
So there's a few of us that are doing really well out here that were in my class, and we were all, like my one friend basically worked straight, lived at home, raised all the money to go to school, so he didn't have any debt. He just paid for the tuition, and so he was like motivated to do it. And I kind of had the benefit of having parents who would not let me come home, because I definitely had a cold spell during the writer's strike.
Oh, yeah,
like
sure.
8 or 9 years ago, and it's been a struggle. I PA'd for a while and made $500 a week. And
Well, I think you are. I think you're doing really well. I've known you for about 4 years now, and I've just watched you. We see each other pretty much every week, and you're always telling me you moved to this job, and what I never see is you for want of work. Like you work well. It seems like you work well with people, and they want to work with you, and you keep a roof over your head. Which is, by the way, we're in Stephanie's bat cave, and what an amazing roof it is. It is completely decked out with Funkos and pop culture and everything that makes someone amazing and awesome, and great prints on the wall. I really love it. I'm going to come hang out here more often.
It's almost like a Richie Rich.
Totally.
Because it's like a 12-year-old kid's house, but with somebody who can
It's
afford
the
to buy toys.
living room. It's the living room from Silver Spoons.
Except I don't have
except
any,
there's no train.
yeah.
There's no human-sized train to
yet.
drive through yet.
Well, it's a small enough apartment. It is a 1-bedroom in an expensive area in town. So
Yeah, it works. It
it's,
works well.
It's on the smaller side.
So I'm very happy to have you here today. You are not a huge Joe fan. Not that you're a hater by any stretch, but you're just nothing you grew up with.
No, my younger brother, he watched some G.I. Joe. He had some G.I. Joe toys. I've seen the first movie that came out.
You did? Oh, the live action.
Yeah, the live action.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched the live action
You
movie.
didn't see the one with the Rock? The Dreamboat Rock? Come on.
Is that wasn't he in it? I think
He was in the second one. The first one had...
Now I don't know which one. I thought maybe he was in it, but maybe no. I don't think I did see I think I just saw that first one.
Oh, okay.
Was there another one? What was in that second
Well,
one?
the
called?
second one was called Retaliation.
Okay, no, I did not see that
The
one.
first one was G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra.
Rise of the
and
Cobra,
it had like Channing Tatum and
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, yep.
That's why I saw it.
Yeah.
I love that little guy.
He's great. He's totally great.
I'm a fan of Third Rock from the Sun. So
Yeah, absolutely.
That was anything that Joseph does, even if I can't see his face, I'll go see it.
So you saw the movie, and what did you think of that movie?
It was a movie.
It was a movie, right? It was. It's yeah.
No, it was fine. I mean, I watched it. I think I watched it here. I didn't see it in the theater. So you can tolerate a lot more, I think, when you're sitting in your living room.
Of course.
I watched both Ninja Turtle movies in this same living room. So
have you seen the second Ninja Turtle movie?
Yeah.
Is it better?
No.
Really?
No, not to me. I mean, I know some people said it was, but
I didn't find the first one that offensive, though. I didn't think it was
second
terrible.
was not offensive. It's just not any better.
Not any better. Interesting. So, growing up, what cartoons did you watch?
I did watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Scooby-Doo. My sister and I were big Scooby-Doo fans. I watched a lot of Bugs Bunny.
Fantastic. Like the old school, like World War II era Bugs Bunny?
Yeah, the big Saturday morning cartoon person.
Yeah.
Any of the Warner Brother cartoons. Trying to think of what else. A little bit Transformers.
Yeah?
I was sort of more my brother. Like
Yeah.
When he came around, he sort of changed the cartoon dynamic. I was never into I watched a little bit of Care Bears, but that was almost kind of
Care Bears.
I was not
Care
a
Bears
little bit, a little bit.
Care Bears. I love that shows like Care Bears and Smurfs had so many like knockoffs, like the Gummy Bears and the Snorks.
The Snorks,
and there was just rampant copycatting.
I did, unfortunately, I have to admit, I was a big fan of the Smurfs.
Smurfs were cool.
I don't know why. That was like one of my favorite Saturday morning cartoons.
I mean, in retrospect, it's so funny when people look at it with an adult eye and see all like the communist underpinnings of it.
I don't know if I even noticed that.
Oh yeah, there's if you go online and Google it, the people have written sincere essays about how the Smurfs is very much like trying to teach kids that communism is good, especially during the height of the Reagan communism era.
Yeah, we're talking 80s here. So
yeah, totally. Yeah. So it's pretty funny, and then it gets super creepy when you think about like Smurfette being the one girl in town.
I always thought that was a little weird, but I think I've always had more male friends than female friends, so it sort of made sense at the time watching it because I played soccer and I was the only girl on like all boys teams because there were no girls teams at the time. Mm-hmm. So I sort of like I don't think I noticed that too much until I was a little bit older, and I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. I wonder when you think of other things that boys like to do besides climb trees and run around,
throw rocks in mud.
Yeah, I was thinking more with less clothes on, but
no. Well, you those are the best. Those are activities done best with less clothes, so your parents don't have to do the laundry. Come on, what kind of world do you live in? Well, you are you're a big comics fan.
I am.
And today's episode, which is called Where the Reptiles Roam, is actually written by Jerry Conway.
Oh.
Jerry Conway, killer of Gwen Stacy.
What a jerk.
Creator of The Punisher.
That's amazing. I had no idea. I had
creator
no idea
of Firestorm, right? I believe Jerry created Firestorm.
I'm not sure, but I think you would.
I think so, yeah.
You would know,
I think he went over to DC and did Firestorm for him.
Got Firestorm over there.
Oh, do you really? Awesome.
Two versions of Firestorm.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, killer of Gwen Stacy.
Okay. Oh, this should be good then.
This should be real good. Lots of bridge tossing. Yeah, I love Jerry Conway stuff. This episode is it's fun. It's got a couple of neat little twists that I'm interested to kind of dig into.
Now, did he write other episodes, or is this sort of
yeah. He's
okay.
There's a few comics guys at the time, like Steve Gerber.
Okay.
Or Howard the Duck, Steve Gerber.
Yeah.
Yeah. He did a bunch.
Was this just a G.I. Joe thing, do you think, or are they writing?
No, they were a lot
stuff?
of those guys at the time were working and trying to break in animation.
Interesting. Okay.
Animation paid much better.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Paul Dini, obviously,
right.
Paul Dini animation, but he did some G.I. Joe stuff. Bruce Timm's name shows up in the credits. So I'm happy because this episode features one of my favorite Joes of all time. The guy that on Joe on Joe, I talk about how he's just the superstar, and every time he shows up, everything's amazing. And his track record does not stop here. Wild Bill.
Okay.
Wild Bill, the cowboy hat wearing helicopter pilot. He is the main character of this episode.
So they're not military compliant on this show.
Oh no.
Okay.
This is like G.I. Joe is like so. Everyone, the military looked at him and was like, "You are all so capable in what you do. We're not going to enforce any kind of dress codes on you. You wear whatever you want, talk however you want, wear your hair as long as you want, because you guys are just so capable. And we're going to let you do what you do."
Okay.
So that's what G.I. Joe is all about. So without further ado, we're going to get into with my guest Stephanie Goldstein, who actually you can find on Twitter and on Instagram at Steffers RG, Stephers RG. And if you're so inclined, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at JoeOnJoePod. You can also send me an email at joeonjoepod@gmail.com. Let me know what you think of the show. Let me know if you want to be a guest on the show. We do remote Skype call-in shows as well. And if you're really inclined to the show, go to iTunes. If you're listening on iTunes, go to iTunes and leave me a review. That really helps in the ratings and the rankings. So now, Stephanie Goldstein, here we go into Where the Reptiles Roam. Oh, boy. All right. Everyone that comes on the show, we always ask this, and we always love the opening. Do you know the song? Are you familiar with the song?
I know that. Real American Hero. Gee, I think that hearing it, I definitely recognize it.
Yeah.
I couldn't recall it without hearing it.
Are there any characters that are ringing any bells? Anything you saw your brother playing with?
They all look the same to me.
Oh, do they really?
The ones
That's
that he
so
would play,
racist
the ones
of
that he
you.
would
That
play
is
with.
so
No,
horribly racist
They all
of
had
you.
the masks on, and you couldn't see it.
Well, those are the bad guys.
So, I know Cobra Commander.
Yes, that's Cobra Commander. That's Flint.
That's a bomb.
That's a bomb. That's a big Cobra ship crashing. So this episode, Where the Reptiles Roam, written by Jerry and Carla Conway. I'm assuming Carla is his wife at the time.
Or sister.
Or sister. Oh my gosh! Look at how dare I assume? So we
Talk
start
about racist.
Yeah, right. We start with Snake Eyes, Alpine, Bazooka, and Breaker. Breaker's one of the original Joes. Snake Eyes one of the original.
Okay,
Joes.
I know Snake Eyes.
Yeah, and Timber. That's his wolf Timber.
Okay.
Who seems to have green mascara on. They're breaking into some kind of. Well, they just called it a Cobra Information Center. So here's what I want to point out
That
about
guy was
this.
really good at climbing the rope in gym class, though.
That's what he is. He's Alpine. He's the mountain climber.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, everyone has very specific jobs. So Breaker is the communication expert. Alpine is the mountain climber. Bazooka is like the heavy weapon specialist. Like he carries like literally bazookas.
Look at him.
That's Bazooka, and he's super clumsy. Those two are best friends, by the way. They're
okay,
and they're like Laurel and Hardy. They're fantastic.
So you're telling me the guy with the bazooka is a clumsy guy who trips over everything?
Which is hilarious, right? Let's give the most explosive weapon to the clumsiest guy in the crew, right?
It's probably why we can't have nice things.
It's totally why we can't have nice things. And he also speaks like he has brain damage. He just said, door. Like, that's a thing.
I like that Alpine can go up and down walls.
Hey, he's the best. You got, what goes up has to come down. He just blew a hole in the fence, but he needed a bazooka to do it.
It was a chain link.
It's a chain link fence. Oh, that's Flint. He's a main character on the show. He's great.
Okay.
And that's Scarlet. She's driving a Wolverine. That's CoverGirl.
Was that Corn or a bazooka?
It's Corn.
It looked
but
like
here's what I want to point out, though, before we get any further. So basically, the Joes broke into this Cobra Information Center. They stole some data, and now they're kind of fleeing. They're covering their tracks. I love it because it puts them in the role of Cobra. Because they're kind of breaking into. Usually it's Cobra's breaking into something. You know, usually Cobra's trying to do something. This is Cobra, or G.I. Joe rather, breaking into someone's home to get information, which is pretty cool.
Ooh, a floppy disk.
Yeah. Did you see the size of that? I mean, it was the size of a regular old floppy disk, which probably had about enough information to do nothing.
Yeah, it's like maybe 3 songs.
Yeah, maybe or 3. I don't even think one song. Floppy disks weren't they used to be like?
I guess I didn't use floppy. I used the smaller. I don't know what those are called.
Well,
they weren't called floppy disks.
Technically, they're all called floppy disks.
Yeah,
but because the hard drive is one that would be in your computer, and every floppy, even like, but they were the 5 1/4 versus the 3 1/2. Did you ever? I mean, I
don't think I used a floppy though.
My first computer needed a floppy in the hard drive or in the disk drive in order to boot up because it didn't have an internal hard drive.
Okay.
Yeah. So for years afterwards, once we actually got a computer that did have an internal hard drive, my dad would constantly go, well, what about that disk you got to put in? I'm like, Dad, we don't need that anymore. Well, where's the disk?
Is that where the term startup disk comes from then?
Yes. Oh, actually, that's absolutely it. Yeah, because before they had internal hard drives, your operating system was run by the disk, and when the computer would turn on, it would store in the temporary memory, the RAM.
Yeah.
it would store the operating system that you loaded off that disk. So then you could pull that disk out and then insert another disk to run a program.
Oh, wow.
But as soon as you powered down, that RAM would be wiped out. It wouldn't be able to hold that memory.
Okay.
So that's why every time you rebooted, you need the original boot disk in the drive.
The more you know.
And now you Joe, and Joeing is half the battle. So basically, back to the show, the Joes have been sent to a place that it's a ranch, dude ranch. And they know that it's a Cobra front. And they need to go in there and figure out why Cobra's running this front dude ranch. And we've got Wild Bill as the lead. And he is getting, the farmer's daughter is seducing him. What do you think of that, Stephanie Goldstein?
What is she wearing?
She is,
first of all,
Mary Bell is dressed like a flizoozy.
She tied her button-down shirt into a halter top.
Totally right. Lady J, Alpine and Bazooka. And Lady J's, now she called her a little hussy, which I want to say is a little slut-shaming on like Lady J's part. Like if this young Texan girl wants to rope herself a Texan man, how is that Lady J's business?
I mean, I think she might just be a little jealous.
That's what I'm saying. But Lady
Yeah.
J's, her boyfriend is Flint. Like, she's got a boyfriend. She's got a man.
Maybe she's the one who should be slut-shamed because she
Right?
wants all of the Joes in her back pocket.
Exactly. She's the back to the Smurfettes.
Oh, she's kind of the Smurfette of G.I. Joe, huh?
Yeah, she actually no. There's a number of women on the Joe team.
Okay.
They do a good job with diversity. We talk about this a lot on the show. The show's quite diverse, actually. I mean, it's not overwhelming because there's an all-female squad. But every show, for the most part, they usually try to bring a woman in on the show and make her part of the operation.
Okay, good.
She actually just used the line. She used the Transformers tagline, "More than meets the eye," which had to be on purpose.
Did these shows they came on back to back, I believe, didn't they?
Yeah,
Okay.
totally. So
I do remember that.
Inside the ranch, we see Zartan and his Dreadnoks. So that's his biker gang.
That's the best name ever.
Yeah, Zartan is a shapeshifter, and they're talking with Cobra Commander about how they're gonna have to take out these Joes who are there undercover. So this whole plot's a little James Bondy in that you remember in like some of the best Bond movies where Bond would go to the one I'm thinking of is A View to a Kill.
Okay.
Where Bond went to the horse ranch, to the stables where Christopher Walken was at. And like Walken knew he was James Bond and James Bond knew Walken was the bad guy, but they couldn't do anything about it. So they like kept up the ruse.
Right.
That's what's happening on this show.
It's a little bit of Batman villain kind of thing too.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Bruce is Batman. and-
Very much so, yeah. So we've got a bull escaped and it's about to trample Alpine and Bazooka. So we go into commercial with death impending. Today's Filecard Feature is on the Bazooka Soldier, codenamed Zap. His file name is Rafael Melendez. His primary military specialty is engineer. Secondary military specialty is the infantry artillery. Birthplace is New York City, and he's a grade E4. Zap is the team specialist in armor-piercing and anti-tank weapons, but also functions as demolitions man. Specialized education is an engineer school, ordnance school, advanced infantry training, and he's a qualified expert in the M14, M16, M1911A1, the M79 grenade launcher, the M72 Law rocket, the XM17A tow missile, and the XM47 Dragon missile. Zap can hit anything, whether it's a swish from a midcourt or a direct hit from a maximum range. So when G.I. Joe put the word out that they were looking for a cool-headed target man who didn't know the meaning of the word miss, Zap promptly stepped forward. Because to him, G.I. Joe isn't just the #1 special forces organization in the world, they're the biggest heavy hitters he's ever seen. Zap's the fun-loving type. He's cool under fire. The stuff he works on could blow up at any time. Zap's one of the original Joes. He came with the giant bazooka, before Bazooka, and two things set him apart visually, because he had the basic green shirt look. He had a bright red collar, which made him stand out. Now, whether that was supposed to be protective from exhaust fumes from the bazookas, I have no idea, but his biggest and most outstanding feature is his pencil-thin mustache. Very creepy, and yet very welcoming. So, I like Zap. He's one of the originals. Zap, Rafael Melendez, we salute you.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
Alpine is about to get like 12 inches of bullhorn rammed right up his pooper.
Oh wait, no.
Yeah. And Bazooka, the big clumsy oaf, he jumps on the back of the bull and he kind of digs his heel in, and he basically rodeos the bull without a rope.
That was a feat of strength I've never seen before.
He is a strong man.
Oh, but now they have to drag him away because he can't move his legs anymore.
Yeah, but they get away safely. Bazooka has broken every bone in his body.
Oh, he's standing up again, though.
Yeah, he's standing up again. And the 3 ranch hands they were led into a trap by 3 ranch hands who we know are the Dreadnoks.
I like how that bull was just standing there staring at them, even though he was trying to ram the fence a second ago.
Well, he's cool with them. He's like, you got out of my house, I'm fine. I'm cool. We're happy.
But I'm going to keep an eye on you.
Yeah. So Lady J is now going to get a tutorial in riding a horse by a guy that looks remarkably like TV's Matt.
I think you're very handsome.
What was the? It's not Magnum PI. It's like Matt Hooper, not Matt Hooper. That's from Jaws. Matt Dallas. Do you remember this show?
No, I don't think I do.
All right, I'm gonna.
Oh, what did he just put in there?
Well, he put a burr under her saddle.
Okay.
And then he slapped the saddle. So the horse, which formerly was taking a liking to Lady J, is now going crazy, and it bucks her off into the watering pond. Do you know anything about cowboys? Did you?
I mean, I saw City Slickers.
That's kind of. I'm holding up one finger for you right now. One finger, Stephanie. Do you know why? Every time someone gets thrown off a horse, they always land in those watering troughs. Were those like notoriously filthy? Because
I mean, I feel like I've seen a lot of cowboy shows and movies where pigs are drinking out of them or eating.
Yeah,
and
I thought it was drinking water for the horses.
I mean, maybe it's drinking water. I don't know.
Because people, do you know what I mean? People always land in them, and they always get up and they throw their hat down and they're like, yeah. But like, were they supposed to be just the grossest things in the world? And if so, why are you letting your horse drink out of it?
I think they make him gross because it's funnier if you fall into a gross vat of water.
Of course.
But at the same time, yeah, the horses are drinking out of it. So
Yeah.
how gross could it really be?
Totally.
That one looked refreshing.
It totally looked refreshing.
I
Looked like
kinda-
Lady
I mean,
J
it's a
got
hot-
out of there and was
it's a
like,
hot day today. I
I'm
wouldn't
ready
mind.
to go. So we cut to Wild Bill was leading a stampede of cattle. And that kicked up a dust storm. And while the dust storm was clouding, apparently it was like a weaponized dust storm. It was so large.
These guys are so smart.
Yeah, it completely blinded the security guards. There's a solar laser grid that's nearby this ranch. And that's the whole point of the show is Cobra needed to get into the solar laser grid. They needed to get a microchip from the laser grid that would allow them to control a satellite in space. That we'll see what they do for it later. But this stampede that they tricked Wild Bill into caused cover for Zartan in disguise to enter the facility and get this microchip. Meanwhile, Pinky Tuscadero here is whoa. Boy, whoa, look at him.
I feel like he just had the opposite of a blush. Like his whole face just got pale and then his eyes got really red.
Yeah, Wild Bill just got a kiss laid on him, and now he is super partnered up.
And this other guy's playing. Oh, there's a band.
Yeah, we're doing some what's that called? Line dance, not line dancing.
Line dancing.
What's that called? It's do-si-do and around you go.
Square dancing.
Square dancing. That's right.
It's a hootenanny.
I just dropped some square dancing on you. Did you ever square dance? We learned square dance in high school or grammar school.
I square danced at summer camp.
Did you really?
Yes.
Were you good at it? Did you enjoy it?
I'm actually pretty good at square dancing because
Really?
it's so regimented. I can't dance. Like I don't have like the improvisational skills of dancing.
I hate dancing.
But if somebody's like
dancing.
telling me where to go and you're just sort of marching, then I can. I was in a marching band, so it's sort of like
So you're
dancing
you're
while
just gonna
marching.
you're saying you're good at following orders.
Yes, I can follow orders.
Doing what
I was just doing what I was told.
doing what you were told. So it's nighttime now, and Lady J she followed a bunch of the Cobra, the ranch hands, but in disguise as Cobras. She followed him into a barn where the barn then was empty. So now she went down a ladder, and she sees just the creepiest old couple sitting in front of a computer screen, like
and a whole bunch of
yeah. And there's a whole bunch of other Cobras. Now we see Cobra Commander standing in front of a big view screen, and luckily there's a female Cobra soldier. Which, for the record, Steph, that look that woman had, that Cobra Soldier doesn't
With the
exist.
control chip,
It's not like
Cobra's
that's it, like-
destructive
They all
powers
have the
equal
masks on.
to-
She
Well,
just
yeah,
happened
well,
to
they-
be-
yeah.
was she like the secretary that she was just
Well,
bringing the.
yeah, what I'm saying is, in order for this ploy to work and then not work, they had to create a whole new character design because otherwise she would have just been dressed like every other Cobra Soldier. And so now she can look like a woman Cobra Soldier and kind of infiltrate and get closer. So Destro, who's that guy in the black with the silver
I
face.
remember him.
Yeah. He was Eccleston in the movie.
Right. Okay.
Destro hands this chip to Cobra Commander, and they're demonstrating what's going to happen. So they're now going to be able to control the solar laser satellite and instead of using the solar energy to power homes, they can. I like Cobra Commander's using proper fire extinguisher procedure. They can use the
Safety first.
Yeah, they can use this. So look how much taller Destro is over Cobra Commander. They can use the laser to like laser blast cities and hold cities at ransom.
Okay.
So it's another trope of Cobra where they always have a special gadget that's
You're
terrible,
not one of my
Is he the only one that wears the mask?
Cobra Commander?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his specific
Okay.
mask. So they recognize that this woman, who is Lady J, is not one of their soldiers, and so that he blasts her with his fire extinguisher, and they take her captive.
That didn't take long.
No, it did
that was
not
a
take
bad. That was a bad plan.
Yeah, it really was bad. She probably should have grabbed a guy who actually wore a face mask.
That's what I was thinking. Like
Yeah,
if other people wear.
Back home, I never
Oh,
had
What?
you, Maribel.
So Mary Bell just ripped off her face, and it's actually the Baroness in disguise. And we go to commercial with a gun being drawn from sweet Mary Bell.
He'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble.
Are those the new Joes, Destro?
Yes, Commander.
Who's on the watchtower?
That's the Jungle Trooper. Code name Macondo.
And manning the howitzer?
That's the Flamethrower. Code name Blowtorch. And the Halo Jumper. Code name Ripcord.
Who's by the bivouac?
That's the Dog Handler. Code name Mutt. And his dog Junkyard.
They've not seen the last of Cobra.
Watchtower, Howitzer, Bivouac, and G.I. Joe figures each sold separately from Hasbro.
The Baroness, seductress of all time. She's got a laser pointed at the back of Wild Bill's head.
Maribel, why don't you...
I actually gasped.
She looks
at that
good, though,
reveal.
right?
At your service.
I think she looks better than the farmer's daughter.
Baroness looks good.
She's a sexy lady.
I met the voice of Baroness at Long Beach.
Does she look like that?
Yes. No, she was lovely. She was lovely. Yeah, but yeah, she was great. They had all the G.I. Joe voice actors there. There was like 6 or 7 of them. It was great.
Is he supposed to look like a wrestler?
Who? Zartan?
Yeah.
I mean, not like a wrestler per se, but yeah, he's got a look. He's got,
Got
a
a
very
little bit of like
specific
a
look.
yeah.
And then we could never figure
Like a
out
kiss.
Yeah, very much got a kiss. We could never figure out if that thing on his head is that his hair or is that a robe? Because it doesn't connect to anything. Like I don't understand what it is, but it's like a hood, but it's not really connected. It's great. It's a great look, but it's so weird. I don't understand what it is. So we're back at the G.I. Joe headquarters at the pit, and Cobra Commander is giving his ultimatum. That was a cool shot. They had like a tracking shot. Would that be a tracking or a panning shot? You're the editor. Like is it like
It's a pan. Yeah, it's a pan.
A pan?
Yeah, tracking would be more if they were walking.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it was a pan shot, but they had Breaker frozen in the middle of the frame, which was a neat. That's not a look. You don't get that a lot in the cartoon. Usually, it's like
Right.
the camera was pretty static or whatever. So the background guys were moving at a different speed than Breaker was across the screen. It made it for a really cool look.
Demonstration of the power of.
Okay. So Cobra Commander just destroyed Golden Gate Bridge. Why
What a jerk.
does the Golden Gate Bridge not survive anything?
I mean, why do they keep rebuilding?
Why
it?
do they keep rebuilding the Golden Gate Bridge?
Just let it go?
I'm sure someone has commented out there. I need to know how many times the Golden Gate Bridge has been destroyed in popular culture.
It would be really fun to see like a YouTube video of all of the different destructions of the Golden Gate Bridge in sequence.
I'm sure someone's done it. It's got to be amazing. Magneto blew it up. Planet of the Apes blew it up. Cobra just blew it up. Cobra's also big on joysticks. So now, this is a neat little gag. I'm hoping this is all Jerry Conway. So the Joes are attacking the solar farm, right, to stop this laser blast. But the tracking screen for Cobra looks like an Atari 2600 game. So they've got all the G.I. Joe vehicles on their screen, and Cobra's lining up a crosshairs where they're going to blast the solar beam from space.
Yeah.
So it's total 2600 game, right?
Yeah.
Just a little closer.
Yeah, and it's also funny is it's always Cobra Commander operating the machinery. It's never a minion. It's always CC himself. That's CoverGirl.
I mean, he likes to get his hands dirty. You got to respect the leader who's going to do the dirty work.
I feel it's like he just likes having fun. You know, like he's enjoying it.
Yeah.
And the Dreadnoks are like, yeah, like they're not going to get their turn. Yeah.
But I want to destroy a tank too.
Mm-hmm. So this giant laser is just blowing stuff out of the sky. It's knocking Sky Strikers. That's Ace. Knocking Sky Strikers out of the sky. It completely melted CoverGirl's Wolverine tank.
There are a lot of G.I. Joes.
Yeah.
I did not realize
there's
there
so
were
many.
so many.
There's dozens and dozens. And what I love about the show is they show up and they don't go out of their way to say, hey, this is this guy, this is that guy. They just show up, they do their job, and then someone will call them, hey, Airborne, or hey, this, and then that's it, they move out of the show.
Great. So
as
how
a
do we
viewer,
get
you have to
smaller?
kind of, it gives you curiosity to find out more about that.
Okay.
Like, that guy looks cool, who's he? And then you can look up in the comic book or in the action figure of who he is. So now the Joes realize that if they run on foot, the giant laser won't be able to hit them. Except for the couple guys that it does hit.
Yeah, it's gonna hit.
It just completely melt their femur.
It's gonna melt a few people's faces off. But I guess
Just a few. But they managed to make it up to El Loco Toro, which was the name of the dude ranch, the Crazy Bull.
The Crazy Bull. I think we saw the Crazy Bull earlier.
And the Dreadnoks are making a getaway on their trike, but they're being. You know what's crazy? So it was
going around the.
Well, they are, but when they bust out, so they just busted out of a garage, and the animation had it drawn where it was an Ostriker, a G.I. Joe vehicle, following him. But then they cut away, and it was a Cobra Vamp.
Oh.
So it was an animation mistake. Like, so it looked like a Joe vehicle when it should have been a Cobra. Like that last vehicle right there. That is a Cobra vehicle.
Oh, it's okay.
When it first came out, it was a Joe.
Interesting.
So here comes Wild Bill, and once again, true to form. When Wild Bill shows up, the day gets saved. Stephanie, every episode Wild Bill is a part of, he saves the day.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, because I think, you know what a little bit of it is? He represents the cavalry, right? Because like back in the U.S. military, cowboys, horses, and now he's in the helicopters, and the helicopters are considered the cavalry now of the Air Force or of the armed forces. He's the cavalry. So every time the cavalry shows up, you're saving the day.
And I think any character that says yeehaw on a regular basis should be the hero of the show.
Is the hero of the show. Is, not should be, is.
Wild Bill!
That hat wave.
That hat wave was
awkward. I don't even know what to say about that hat wave.
It was awkward. Well, Wild Bill showed up with a
I gotta go to the bathroom. Hold on.
with a stampede of bulls, and they knocked out Destro and Baroness. But now Wild Bill has to get his revenge because Baroness, of course, was his lovely lady, Mama Bluebell or whatever the heck her name was. She runs into the ladies' outhouse, and kablam!
Oh, she kept her vehicle in there.
Yeah.
That has to be the most newfangled sanitation system
That's awesome. A giant trouble bubble erupts from the outhouse, and then more trouble bubbles are about to erupt from this barn house where Roadblock and Flint are chasing the rest of Cobra and the Zartan and Destro.
Well, that's kind of a cool little getaway vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a trouble bubble. It's a really cool thing. Completely exposed though. Like,
yeah, I mean the legs are hanging out like a roller coaster.
Cobra's all about exposed weaponry and vehicles. Their Fang helicopter, there's no hood, like there's no door to it. Like you're just out in the open. Everything about Cobra is all about shoot me. So Wild Bill's in pretty good spirits, but he's gonna have a little talking to with Snake Eyes here at the end.
Pretty night. Almost as pretty as a West Texas
Oh shoot!
Oh, Timber, what happened?
Oh, heck, Timber. I should have known she weren't no real Texas peach. She was just too sweet. Anyone from
Right through his
Texas
glasses
knows
on that
we
one.
grow our peaches sassy.
Wild Bill grows his peaches sassy in Texas. And I love that he uses Snake Eyes as a sounding board because he knows Snake Eyes ain't going to give him any talk back. Snake Eyes is mute if you didn't know. Yeah, Snake Eyes is going to have nothing to say back to him. He's not going to give him any consolation. He's just going to sit there and listen and have nothing else to say. So, yeah.
And you can't see his face, so you see no reaction.
Yeah, no reaction at all. Snake Eyes under his mask could be like, Wild Bill, you are a sap. Like, you're the worst, Wild Bill. But Wild Bill would never know because Snake Eyes just keeps it to his vest.
You gotta love the Hasbro.
Gotta love the Hasbro and in Timber. So Stephanie Goldstein,
This was so fun. I can't believe it's over. I want more.
isn't it great?
I want to watch some more G.I. Joe.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, so thoughts on the characters, the animation?
It's definitely more complicated than I was expecting. I thought it was just going to be a couple. I mean, I know Snake Eyes and Cobra Commander and like a few names, Airborne, that sounded familiar, but there was just so many, and they just kept coming, and it was hard to keep track of who was who. So yeah, I was surprised by the complexity of the storylines, the multiple locations.
Was it enjoyable though?
It was very enjoyable. I got into it. I was curious to see what was going to happen next, and those commercial breaks, those cliffhangers.
Oh, the cliffhangers.
Man.
The G.I. Joe's got
two
great
very
cliffhangers.
good cliffhangers.
I'll tell you what. Would you have been fooled by Lulu Bell?
I think I would have been fooled by Lulu Bell.
Yeah, I think I would have been too.
I mean, you kind of assumed that the older farmer couple was going to be up to no good.
Well, what's funny about that? They never showed us the older farmer couple. They never revealed if they were. They obviously were working with Cobra, but it's not like they were like Cobra in disguise. They were just an old farm couple that worked with Cobra.
I wonder if they were brainwashed.
Think about that. It's an old couple who's
Yeah.
like, "Yep, we
Come
love
on."
ourselves some Cobra. We're gonna make Cobra great again."
Yeah, I think. I mean, you should have seen the Lulu Bell thing coming, to be honest.
Right.
But I think you.
Well, listen,
You're more. She's blonde hair, the halter top wearing.
right? The body's out. I think I'd like to hope that at one point in everyone's life, you've been in that situation where you walk into something, and someone in the room singles you out and goes, "I'm gonna get with you." It's a good feeling.
It is.
It is, and
You want to see where that goes.
Yeah, as long as you play it right, play it safe. Now don't get stupid about it. But just the concept of someone of the opposite gender or the gender you're into or whatever you're into comes up and says, "I like you."
I don't think anybody would say, "Hold on, you're a Cobra
Right?
operative. I think I'm
Yeah.
going to have to say no."
As long as you're single and you're not hurting anyone, you're like, okay, I'm going to go with Lulu Bell. So I can't blame Wild Bill at all.
He doesn't blame himself either. He thinks he's having a good time with
He
it.
wants some of them not so sweet Texas peaches. Well, listen, Stephanie Goldstein, you're my California peach. You're a delight. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was so great.
Oh man, this means so much to me to have you on the show. And hopefully we'll have you again.
Yes, I would love to do it again.
Fantastic. And you remember you can find Stephanie on Twitter and Instagram at StephersRG, StephersRG. And you find me at Joe and Joe Pod and joeandjoepod@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. And now you, Joe, and Joeing is half the battle.